over the weekend, Benji, you were kind enough to have us over, both me and Neutrally. Say hi, Neutrally.
Hey, guys.
Have us over to watch one of the NFL wildcard games. It is NFL wildcard weekend. Of course, I think we're all football fans here in the studio. You've got your Seahawks shirt on. Go Hawks.
Shout
Go
out
Hawks.
to the Seahawks.
There you go. Fortunately, we didn't have to play that weekend because we had a bye, which is great. And so really the only thing that we cared about, at least personally for me, is what the seeding was and who we might be playing this coming week, which was great. I think it's the ideal scenario of what happened for us. I think that we're in a pretty good position. I don't want to be too cocky because it is what it is, but I do think the cookie is crumbling our way, and we'll see if our guys can take care of the job. But we didn't come over to watch the games for the game's sake. We came over to talk a little bit about live broadcasting. And so, like I said, you were kind enough to host us, Benji. And one of the first things that happened is, you were cooking some football chicken wings, basically, for us to snack on while we ate. And Nuchley and I were sitting there on the couch with the game on. And one of the first questions that I asked Nuchley was how many cameras he thought were helping broadcast this 49ers game, right?
Don't tell me you researched this so you know exactly how many cameras.
I've got an even better story for you.
Okay.
But Neutrally, so you and I were talking about it, and then funny enough, Benji came over after he was done. He asked the same question because, of course, we're all here to think about broadcasting. So what's the very first thing we think of? Gear. That's just who we are, right? So Neutrally, just be honest. Tell us what your original answer was in terms of what you thought.
I was like 10, 15 for sure.
Yeah, 10 to 15,
Broadcast
right?
camera, yeah.
And the background on that is that Neutrally is someone who just graduated with a degree in broadcast communications, right, Nooch?
Yes, sir.
And so tell us a little bit about your background. Where were you? What did you study? Like, what gives you that context for the 10 to 15?
Yeah, so I'm a WSU Murrow graduate. I just graduated from that program. It's a wonderful program. It's
Congrats.
the best broadcast and journalism school in Washington State. And I had the opportunity to get a behind-the-scenes look on college game day, specifically for college football, which was really big for us. And I saw all the TV trucks come in and out, and I was able to get my hand in the game and be a helping hand.
Yeah, and so Neutrally is a very well-informed person to ask that question. In fact, I don't know about you, Benji, but I learned a ton from Neutrally the entire game. And I think that this particular question was something that kept coming up over and over again. Because
it was almost like a joke.
Yeah, so as soon as Neutrally started to answer the question, we started counting the number of angles that we saw.
Well, first off, I felt like he was so undercounting. He said 15 or more, right? I was like, 15, just maybe like for like a main angle. And then yes, as the game went on, we were laughing because of course the nerds we are in terms of production, camera gear. It was crazy how many different types of cameras are at a football game, especially an NFL broadcast. And this is the playoffs too. So
yes,
you said that there might be even more. So I think we got up to, can I reveal how many?
Please.
We got up to like maybe realistically 30 cameras, right? When you count everything, can I name off some of the cameras?
Yeah, start listing.
Okay, so the main camera that gets the gameplay, then you have it on the other side of the field. Then you've got the field angle of the gameplay that they show for the replay afterwards. Then you've got cameras just are focused on the staffing, the coaches, and even the players. Then you've got these weird cameras like on the piling. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a fancy cone. So imagine the orange cones. They're just straight. There's a tiny little camera on there. And then we know there's a camera, I believe, on the field goal posts potentially. And then you've got cameras that are literally flying over the players on zip lines or whatever you call those. And that's just what I remember off the top of my head.
And Neutrally, you gave me some amazing terminology there too. Like you were talking about how there's a main camera, like for the main game footage. You talked about some of the language that the team is using. I was just amazed by the number of roles there are and what they all were. Walk us through a little bit of the language, and then I'm going to reveal the average number of cameras for a Fox broadcast, and another little thing too.
Yeah, so normally with the director, the main wide gameplay cameras like X. So the director would normally say Rolex, and that's the main high sky cam. And then when you would transition in and out for stats and graphics, instead of a hard cut, they fade in and then fade out. So that's like a slight difference that no one will pay attention, but us nerds like to see the transition in and transition out when the lower graphics appears. And
Yeah, so Neutrally is our guy. He's given us all the attention to detail that we could possibly ask for during that game, giving us all of the information. But Benji's right. It did become kind of a recurring joke. They were like, oh, here's another angle. Here's another angle.
Oh,
okay,
then the commentator camera too. Commentator camera, and then the coaches up in the box, right? So there's those cameras on top of it, and then there's another camera is on the audience or the people in the stands.
And let me just say, I mean, NFL broadcasts are some of the most amazing. I think it's like some of the pinnacle of entertainment in America, honestly. Just in terms of like the fact that the sport is an interesting sport. It's done using, like we talked about, I mean, dozens of cameras is our guess, right, at this point, with a whole crew behind it, everybody kind of doing this live. It is a performance unlike almost anything else, all perfected over, honestly, decades at this point, just to get to this level. So it is a ripe fruit for the picking in terms of understanding us as like a small 3-person team when we do these broadcasts, and really just one Neutrally running the whole show, right?
4-person with Carla.
4-person with Carla. Thank you for reminding me of Carla. Hi, Carla. But literally yesterday morning, I was listening to one of my tech podcasts. Now, bear with me here, because I cannot even believe that this happened. Literally the day after we were watching this thing together. So I was listening to my podcast, and I was listening to him talk about the Apple Vision Pro, which to me is near and dear to my heart because that's what my YouTube channel is about. It's an AR VR device by Apple. And I heard that over the weekend, actually I think maybe last Friday, Apple started broadcasting the first ever basketball game in stereoscopic immersive vision to the Apple Vision Pro. And this guy who has been talking about the Apple Vision Pro for a very long time has just been totally annoyed with the way that Apple has been doing this, because they have a video with I think it's like a Metallica concert, and then they also have a couple of sports videos as well. And he's like, you are kind of editing these like as if it was a YouTube highlight reel, sort of. Lots of cuts in and out and everything like that. But if you imagine wearing even if you haven't worn a VR headset, if you imagine being teleported to the, because it really is that convincing of an illusion when you wear these devices. Imagine that in the middle of you watching a play, you just cut randomly to another spot on the field. Terrible decision making, right?
They should make it like Google Maps, where you can literally click on where you want to go, and then you get the perspective from that area.
That's really smart. I never even thought about that.
So you could be in the stands, in your seat, and if you want, you can be on stage right next to that'd be crazy, because they have the cameras right next to the artist, you know?
And so he was complaining. He's like, you are breaking my immersion. You don't understand what the Apple Vision Pro is good for. This is annoying. But it was interesting to me because we were like, oh man, we were just talking about live broadcasting. This is a new format for live broadcasting. It actually touches on like older, even deeper traditions like theater or like stage plays and things like that. And it's just amazing to be alive in a time where we're beginning to see a new language of live develop for an entirely new medium, which I'm sure is how people felt when movies first came along and when TV broadcasts came along. And so for them, he was annoyed by the number of cameras. But as a part of his rant about the fact that they were ripping him out of the immersion, because by the way, it was his favorite team too, which just happened to be the case because, they've only done one broadcast. He was like, here is the number of cameras that a television football game uses.
Football game?
A television.
Not even basketball.
No, football. He literally randomly brings us up in the middle of it. You guys ready for the answer?
Let's all guess one more time, though.
Okay.
Or you can't guess. You already know.
I do know.
I want to say it's 48.
Neutrally?
I was going to say 60.
60. Well, according to this report, the answer for a Fox broadcast, this is from Forbes last year before the Super Bowl, the typical game on Fox has 35 to 40 cameras to do the action. But here's the interesting thing. For the Super Bowl last year, you want to guess how many cameras they used?
And so one clarifying question is this photography and broadcasting or just the broadcast?
This is just for the broadcast.
Oh, okay. I don't even know. How much is it?
147.
Whoa. So you were right. When it's like a big game, there's more angles.
So they said a lot of really interesting things here. It says, though the number is impressive, it can be a bit misleading because you only need so many cameras for live game action. But a major benefit of the additional cameras is the instant replay. I think that was the interesting thing to me. Huge number of those are for other instant replay. They actually don't just use those angles for the broadcast, but replay officials use those angles as well. So for a bigger game, it makes sense to have more cameras on the action so you can begin to go through and make better calls based off of replay assist and things as well, right?
Also, it makes sense because some of the best captured plays are playoff or Super Bowl games. When I think about the ones that look the coolest, I never made the correlation that it's because they just have more angles. They're capturing every little millisecond.
And they literally bring that up directly because what they're saying is that like we want to give our commentators more colors to paint with. We want to give our directors more options to choose from. And they talk about how some of those things actually even allowed the commentators to do more. So this is one that they talked about. They said, Fox is particularly enthused about its high Skycam providing a payload for a Sony HTC P50A 4K box camera. That will provide a great analytical view for Tom Brady in particular because it has a higher resolution, shoots at a higher frame rate, and can show a wider field of view. The box camera is only about the size of a shoebox and was first tried in the preseason before going into use for Week 16. It offers an all-22 shot from high above and they can zoom in for part of the play without any blurriness. Seeing it from above allows an analyst to dive into the real breakdown of plays, Davies shared with me. It gives the production yet another tool. So they take this stuff really seriously, right? And it goes even further than that, which is that it says that, by the way, one of the reasons they take it seriously, they say here, you know how big the contracts are in order to broadcast these games?
So what do you mean to broadcast, like the actual channels?
The
So
rights.
The rights?
Yeah, how much does Fox pay for the rights to do the broadcast
Got
for
it.
the season?
Oh, for the season. And they get so many games. They don't get all the games, so many. Oh my gosh. Because then on the flip side, they sell advertising to those spots.
That's exactly
the
right.
rights, oh man. I want to say it's like at least 300 million.
Okay, Neutrally, do you know the answer to this?
I actually don't.
The answer is $2.2 billion.
Oh my gosh.
$2.2 billion for one station. Station to do the broadcast. So the Super Bowl is kind of an interesting piece of this, right? So there's so much we could dig into just with that.
Oh my gosh.
But in the agreement, who gets the Super Bowl, right? Do you pay extra for it? Well, the answer is that they all care about the Super Bowl so much that they pass it off between the four major broadcasters, right? So according to that agreement, Fox, CBS, NBC, and ESPN/ABC will alternate broadcasting future Super Bowls. But, and here's an interesting piece, Fox received the honor twice in 3 years because NBC has the Winter Olympics this year, by the way. And the logistics involved in broadcasting the Super Bowl and the Olympics back-to-back would have been too challenging. Quote, every network is lucky enough to have these rights.
You know
is
who-
essentially the steward of the Super Bowl, Davey said. To be able to bring the state of the art to the audience is very important.
You know who's not going to get it? YouTube, unless they partner with somebody. Okay, so one reason we're even talking about this is because we talked about how live streaming is becoming more important for creators, right?
Yes.
In real life, I just did a cooking live stream. The platforms love it. YouTube loves it. But on the flip side of it, it's funny how broadcasting, which is live, has been very significant for as long as sports have been on TV, any kind of event, including like a debate for elections or maybe even like the Olympics, okay? But what's nuts right now is if you think about cable that's dying compared to the streaming platforms, sports is like the last thing. So much money is involved. And when I think about 2.2
Yes.
billion just for Fox alone, what I think about that, if you multiply that just by easy math, 4,
Yeah.
that's 8 billion up to 10 billion, right? You're talking, that's a lot of money that the NFL has to make sure they bring a performance.
Totally. Because
A-list
they got skin in the
performance.
game.
Totally. And because I've been honored to be invited by the Seahawks to the game and be on the field. And I've seen, because I love content creation, but I'm using my phone, I'm using a $600 camera. I care though to see what other people are using. Just like any creator, we want to know what camera you're using, right? when these guys are walking by, not only do they have a crane and like some kind of harness, they usually have somebody that's just there assisting them to hold the cords.
Yes.
Sometimes
That's a
there's
utility position.
Yep,
There you go.
utility position. And sometimes they're the third person that's just clearing the way for them because the guy holding the camera can't always see where he's going because he might be walking backwards. And that's, to me, crazy because that's just one angle of,
Yes.
what would you say, up to 40 angles potentially.
Well, and one of the interesting things that Nucci pointed out to us during our discussion was that there's a guy, for example, who's a part of these teams that literally goes out just to get to commercial breaks, right, Nucci?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the guy has these special colored gloves and he literally goes like this and like has the timer for
should
the
add a
slot
picture of
for
that.
commercial because it's that important.
Yeah, and so you think about the $2.2 billion investment, right? If you're trying to make that back, you better get the guy with the crazy orange gloves.
How much
in order
does
to
that
get
guy
it.
make?
Yeah,
How
probably
much
not
does
2.2 billion.
No, for sure. But he probably makes enough to where it's like, it's like a good payday for that day's work.
I had a friend do it for a college game and he got $350 just doing that a day. Just
That's significant.
That's pretty good.
I mean, yeah. Well, let's just say like if that's an 8-hour day, right? Divided by like this is where my math skills are getting exposed here.
well, you got to remember too.
I'm a
it's
retired
just
math teacher,
during
so-
the broadcast.
Huh?
The commercials for the broadcast only. So when the game is happening.
I know. So, but 8-hour day, you get there early, you make sure you prepare, you tear down your gloves, you take them off, right? That takes like at least 5 minutes. No, I'm just saying that's like a $50 to $60 an hour gig.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. And some real-time follow-up from David Foster, who's in the chat, who points out, first of all, that those are genuinely union positions, so they pay super high, relatively speaking. So that it could be even more depending on what the actual situation is given the employment. There's just one other thing that I want to say about this before we go. I think one of the interesting things about that, first of all, I want to thank you one last time, Benji, for having us over. It was great fun and quite interesting to be able to do that as a team and kind of unpack it. I think anybody should really, if you're getting into live broadcasting, take a look at what the real biggest productions are out there and draw some inspiration from it.
Well, I know today, me and Nucci were pulling inspiration from it, best practices from it for a YouTube cooking live stream, which is super low
With
key.
2 cameras.
2 cameras, but those 2 cameras turn into 5 different angles. We had a 6th one kind of like out of nowhere. And you can learn a lot from those people. I think there's a lot to be learned from traditional media to make your stuff better, because it's funny because even though I kind of like the amateur hour casual feel of being a vlogger, which is what I'm trying to bring to my live streams, all the mistakes, all the glitches, all the kind of flow stoppers would be prevented by preparing the way that an NFL game does. Obviously not to that scale. I had like max 220 people watching today at any given time. But as a creator, you can learn a lot. I feel like you probably learned a lot from your education and production to do what you do. And then now Nucci's helping me on this show and other shows because of him going to school for 4 years. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that the number one thing that I took away is like that trade-off between the amount of production and the entertainment versus the kind of ease of getting things up and going and having a process, right? And I think that there's a lot to be learned on either end of that. And I think that there's one quote that I pulled from this article that exemplifies it most, and it's this, quote, "It's going to be popping," Fox NFL Sunday analyst Rob Gronkowski said. "It's going to be a lot of fun when this is when the energy gets brought up to another level." Okay, let's get to some follow-up. Last week, we talked about how YouTube took over the TV, and we talked about how YouTube is becoming more like Netflix in general, and actually how the UI is going to look a lot more like Netflix in the coming, I think, months when YouTube starts rolling this out. In particular, they're going to start releasing this feature called Shows, which will show up on the TV complete with kind of a continue watching carousel like you might find in any other streaming platform, Disney, Netflix, etc. The feature started with primetime channels, which was a traditional broadcast kind of background thing. They opened it up to creators now. And one of the reasons for that is that now there's 1 billion hours of watch time on the TV for YouTube every single day. And after reflecting on our discussion last week, I kind of had an extra thought, which is that for YouTubers, and Benji, I think you mentioned this a little bit, but binging seasons of any show on the TV, like via Netflix, via just any other traditional streaming platform, it's generally something that is a user behavior when they're watching shows on the TV. But for a creator, it's a total game changer because it's a little bit of a marriage between the discovery of the algorithm, which is what we have been used to for the past 15 years or so, and the subscription behavior of the years prior to that. Because one of the things that they talk about is that if you're watching a series, it is way, way, way more likely to pop the next one up in the series into the continue watching on the TV home screen after you come back the following day. And so it's a little bit the return of the subscriber to some degree. Obviously not 100%. You still have to fight for that position. You still have to make good content. But it is a totally different way that the algorithm is going to change completely because of the viewing behavior of the TV.
Yeah, we call it the comfort viewer, which has been the case for vloggers because you become a regular thing in somebody's day, literally. So when we started, it was every single day, 7 days a week of vlogs. My wife, she would upload to It's Judy's Life, and people made it part of their day because it was comfortable to have her voice in the background, just be watching the show, but not really paying attention to it. And this is back in 2011, before the TV. It was a laptop. People were watching on their laptop, maybe on their mobile phone, and back then it was a laptop or computer. And then what happens is you go and seek that show out.
Yeah.
So you might be subscribed to them, hope it pops up. What's crazy is, if YouTube knows, and this doesn't matter any era, if YouTube knows you're watching something, no matter what their algorithmic equation is, they always will show it to you. And that's 2011, 2021, and even today in 2026. So I call it comfort viewing. It becomes a habit. It becomes something that you seek out no matter what. You hope that it's suggested to you, or you go and type the name of the channel.
Yeah.
So yes is like the return of the subscriber. But what's funny is people might subscribe, and the problem is you don't always get it suggested to you.
Yeah.
It's the most powerful when you go and look for it.
Totally.
Just like you do any kind of show. Like, for example, right now I love watching Landman on Prime. It's not always up there. So guess what I do? I go down, I go to the section of new release or whatever, and I look for it. I go in, I make sure it's at the right season, pop up the new episode. We can't binge anymore because I have to wait till Sunday to only get one, which sucks because we loved watching 2 or 3 at a time. But the power of the comfort viewing, and the reason it's called comfort viewing, it's a guaranteed level of satisfaction. The value you get is predictable. So it might not be as good as something else out there, but predictable and consistent is better than like the off chance that it was a waste of time to watch. And that's the power of good storytelling.
I 100% agree with you. And we're going to come back to that in a second. But there was a second piece of the article that we didn't quite get to last week that I just want to bring up here because it's an example of one of the formats that's creating that guaranteed satisfaction and the predictability that is going to find a lot more success on the TV. So here's, again, I think it's Janko Rutgers at Low Pass, where they say, another trend has been the growth of video podcasts, with over 1 billion people consuming podcasts on YouTube every month. A growing chunk of that usage happens on TV. Quote, there's over 400 million hours of podcasts watched just in the living room every single month, Wilms says. Quote, we talk about podcasts as the new late night talk show, end quote. Just as broadcasters are retreating from the late night format, YouTube is now making those podcasts look more like TV shows in its app as well. Quote, all the podcasts on YouTube now also get this show treatment, Wilms confirms. So just to translate for you, literally the podcasts are some of the first to be a part of these new chips that you'll see on the TV that will show up as a part of the continue playing. So it'll be a part of a show. They continue, case in point, for the longest time, creators couldn't upload thumbnail images that were larger than 2 megabytes, and YouTube would automatically rescale those images to 720p. Quote, over 10 years ago, that was the last time we changed how uploading a video thumbnail worked, acknowledges Wilms. With this week's changes, uploads can be up to 50 megabytes in size, and YouTube will display them in 4K on modern TVs. We did talk about a little bit of that last week, but it shows you how much they're changing about the UI just to make this show thing work.
Yeah, we even saw, so Mr. Beast has his show called Beast Wars. What's it called? Beast
Oh, I don't know.
Games.
Oh, yeah, Beast Games.
Okay.
On
These
Prime.
games, yeah.
And of course, once you watch it, and then you wait for the next season. And now it's season 2. Well, we saw another show on Prime, I believe, and it was like Beast Travels or something like that, or Beast something else. And Judy's like, "Oh, he has another show," and I was like, right away, I was like, "No, that is his old episodes or his old YouTube videos packaged up into a show-like grouping." It's just smart to do it that way.
So true.
Because it's one thumbnail representing probably like 8 to 10 episodes. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but what I know is if it was a proper show, it'd probably be promoted or advertised.
Yeah.
And you see this with all YouTubers. Just the power of a show and having a bingeable series. That's all you need to know. Like as a creator, what I think is have a bingeable series. My
Yes.
favorite right now is a guy named Matt. Friend of mine, a cook named Matt, but he has a secret, I call it the Secret Seattle vlog channel, and it's very bingeable. Right now, his number one watched series, I guess you could say, is pizza. People don't know this, but Seattle is known as a pizza town
Yeah.
by people that live in Seattle, but not necessarily the rest of the country. Tons of great spots. It's funny how viral pizza places get in Seattle, maybe because it's such a depressing city right now in the fall and the winter. So like having nice slice is amazing. But he has like every time he does a pizza episode, you think like he's overdone it or it's played out. No, always is a hit. So my thought is those videos that he uploaded previous, if they ever stumble on those, they're watching the new episodes, or the new episodes make them, because you want that bingeable series. You want a guaranteed satisfaction, predictable value. And that's why he sometimes will ask me for advice, right? Or wants my take on it. I just go, hey, as long as it's like the other one, if not better, that's all that matters. And one of the things that I probably have shifted or helped to inspire is the length.
Yes.
And the length is important in regards to what we're talking about, because when you watch the TV, you're sitting on the couch, especially in the evening, you want something longer. So, I think he's probably doing the same. But for me, even today's live stream, I would never do anything under 30 minutes now.
Interesting.
On a live stream for sure. Because it's like hitting, I feel like, part of the algorithm and part of the psychology that you want to trigger so that you capture those people that are sitting on the couch ready to enjoy a show that they know they're going to get a certain amount of value. They don't think about it this way. They just turn on the TV and they're, oh, another one of his pizza vlogs in Seattle. Bam.
Although it is funny, there is a kind of a meme going around right now where actually I think it started on TikTok, where somebody will say in the comment section, if there is a repeatable format that they see over and over again from a specific creator, they'll be like, my show's on. I got to sit down because my show's on. That's starting on TikTok, by the way. So there is a little bit of that discussion happening.
Their show is on TikTok?
Well, so
or
like
they're just talking about it on TikTok.
So in the past, we've talked about Subway Takes, right? Which is a super short form, usually less than a minute long show that is like basically a talk show between one repeated guest on the New York City subway with another guest on there. And they just have a discussion. He asks them, what's your take? And then he says whether he agrees or disagrees, and then they have a discussion about it. And it usually does not last very long. And so that literally takes a very specific format, is packaged as a show. People say, oh, I just scrolled to Subway Takes. My show is on. And then they'll type that in the comment section.
How long is that show?
Less than a minute.
Oh, it's still a minute.
Yeah, but my point is that the discussion is there, right? It's not necessarily about the length on TikTok, because TikTok is supposed to be short, right? But that language, people are starting to understand, oh, repeatable formats work, right? And that's one of the things that creates a show. I would say length, depending on the platform. A single story is another piece of it as well. That's something that I've been trying to do. I've only created the first episode of a series, but I'm trying to get like a 3 or 4 episode arc that tells a single story that's a part of a show, or a repeatable format is another way to do a show in my mind.
It's so crazy now to think about some of the short form creators I follow. The ones that I binge the most usually have a similar format between all their stuff. It's not like different.
There you go. Because you kind of know the mood that you're in. You go in and then you just watch it, right? Yeah. Well, let's keep moving here. I want to talk about a little bit of follow-up on the DJI ban. We got some feedback from @HillPhantom on YouTube, and he says this. Folks, the DJI Pocket 4 got FCC approval prior to the ban, so it can legally be sold in the US regardless of the ban. Remember, the ban is based on FCC because America refused to do the security audit that DJI was begging for. This is different than the National Security Bill ban, but is a byproduct of it. In other words, it is likely to get worse if they pass the greater bill. However, DJI, from my intel, has decided it may not launch the Pocket 4 in the US due to a warranty and repair concerns in the USA, which we'll get back to in a second. The reason it is delayed is that they have not figured out some issues yet, and because of the last few launches being rushed, they decided not to push this before it's fixed, as DJI is getting a bad rep of pushing out half-baked products, DJI A5 Pro / DJI Nano. You keep saying the ban in regards to a camera that has already gotten approval. This is not correct. Also, it is a complete falsehood about banning prior products retroactively. This is 100% false. Any old DJI products you have will not be banned retroactively. Quote, that FCC action is what is commonly being reported as the, quote, DJI ban. It is an administrative regulatory action under the FCC's authority. The current DJI restriction in the U.S. is tied to an FCC action, but the action itself was triggered by a requirement in the National Defense Authorization Act. So both are involved, but the ban as it exists right now is an FCC decision, not a direct standalone security bill. And that's from the FCC docs. So just a couple things from Hill Phantom. First of all, thanks for the great feedback. Basically, the summary is Pocket 4 has FCC approval, so it can be sold, but DJI might not be doing it because they are apparently getting a bad rap for selling half-baked products when they launch them. And then secondarily, that there is no retroactive ban on some of the other things going on as well. I will say, I don't think that we made the claim that it was going to be banned. I think that maybe this was in another video where we clarified the fact that DJI Pocket 4 likely would be okay to be sold by the FCC and it'll be kind of in DJI's hands. But we did have questions about what the options were in terms of software upgrades and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's definitely more so when it comes to their drones, anything that flies, that there's a concern. By the way, if you're watching this, do us a favor and hit that like button.
Yeah.
And subscribe, because we do these live streams every single week. This is a channel dedicated to creators and talking about creator related challenges, topics. And then of course, you know, I've been a vlogger on YouTube. And so I try to do my best to share all my wisdom. And if you want more coaching from me, this is the place to do it. And I'm going to take a screenshot of us on Shorts feed. It's crazy. Anyways, we're live streaming vertical and horizontal. David. So, homie of mine who helped me do a lot of live streams back in the day. But where are we going after this? What's the anything we're talking about in relation to DJI Osmo?
Yeah, so the next thing is the thing that he talked about as it relates to warranties. And I think that this is something I hadn't considered before. And actually, it wasn't his comment that initially cued me off to this, although it's interesting to see that resonance there, because I saw in a video the other day, which showed the issue of the flippable screen on the DJI Osmo. So interestingly, Neutrally brought in his XTRA Muse last week, which also had the issue of the screen not having a perfect balance when you flip it from vertical to horizontal. And what happened is that it would flip, but it wouldn't flip and stay up. And so what they did on this video is that they asked DJI to service this Osmo, and it accepted the service, provided a quote, which they said they thought would be free. The shipping was free. And then as they got it sent in, DJI got back to them and said that they would charge them $124 for the service. So it was a little bit of a discrepancy there in what they had been quoted versus what actually was happening. Now, interestingly, this person did have it out of warranty. So in some ways that kind of sort of makes sense to me. But when he talked to the service rep, the thing that they kept mentioning was tariffs. Tariffs were the thing that were preventing them from being able to support American customers in terms of the traditional service that they provided.
Are they sending it all the way back overseas?
So this is the interesting part, is that it only went to Texas. And so it didn't even go overseas at that point. And so eventually they were like, listen, I don't even want you to repair it for me, just send it back to me. And he just got it back and just has jerry-rigged a solution for it. And I just wanted to bring that up as something that might be something that people should consider if they're buying DJI products. That, yeah, if the regulatory environment in the US is difficult for DJI, repairs and warranties and all of that may become harder and harder to do as well, even if you can still buy the products.
Yeah, ultimately, DJI Osmo is such a great camera, and it's the best vlogging camera I've ever used. And I've used the one that I still use today that's old and messed up, but still records just fine. We're talking 300 plus vlogs now over the course of 2 years, still turns on. I am noticing some speed differences of the gimbal, but even with the risk of maybe the warranty not being, honored or whatever, what's crazy is I have banged up my Osmo more than
I know.
anybody. I dropped it. I put it in a fanny pack. I ran with the fanny pack. I go to the playground with my kids. I'm vlogging at home while cooking. Things are splattering on it. Cooking
Seriously.
oil is getting all over it. And I'm outside flour when I'm doing pizza, and it's been fine. So it's still one of those cameras that I think I would take the risk, even if it got worse.
Because it's so good.
Yeah, and shout out to DJI. I've been very particular. I love American-made products, first off. Secondly, I'm biased to Japan, Canon, Sony. We're using Sony's right now. Canon G7X was our go-to for over a decade, but this camera is so awesome. I hope that they can continue selling this and the DJI Osmo 4. I'll definitely try it out, maybe buy it, but even the 3 is so awesome. So keep buying it for now, I'd say.
And for what it's worth, I have purchased DJI products for a very long time as well. I had an old, I don't even remember what it was called, with the original drone that they released in the US. It was one of those big chunky ones that
Mavic
you had.
Pro?
It was even before the Mavic, although the one that I had to get repaired was my Mavic when I purchased it. And they supported me totally well. And that was like 10 years ago. So, that could be one of the discrepancies. So I've had good luck with it. It's obviously just a weird environment right now. But I did also want to talk about one of the comments that we got about the Pocket 3. So last week we had you compare, this is an ongoing theme in the show, between the XTRA Muse and the Pocket 3. And I just know, as you just mentioned, that the Osmo Pocket 3 is what you would consider the best vlogging camera ever, right? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And so this is a comment from @jbaby007, who says, the Pocket 3 literally changed my life, LOL. I had an old Sony cam with no in-body stabilization, couldn't shoot in 4K because it overheated easily, 8-bit with a Sigma 16mm lens, heavy AF, and needed a gimbal, complicated menu options, several buttons, etc. Once I discovered the Pocket 3, I have not looked back. Sold the Sony cam, returned the gimbal. The Pocket 3 is everything I need in such a tiny form factor for a fraction of the cost with less hassle. I'm not trying to become a world-renowned filmmaker. I just want quality video that's easily accessible for someone like myself. So I think that pretty much summarizes what we think about the Pocket 3, right?
Yep.
It is really simple. The quality is good enough, if not pretty dang good, honestly. And the simplicity is what sells us on the Pocket 3, even over something like the XTRA Muse, right?
Yes, totally. Get it.
And it's interesting because I continue to see these videos pop up in my feed where people are doing the comparisons between the two. And one of the videos that I saw the other week was a video that says, the XTRA Muse is the ultimate vlogging camera. And so, I think that there's just a little bit of nitpicking that we can do here and maybe have a quick discussion about it. But this is what they said. First of all, video was overwhelmingly positive, and the highlights that they gave were that it's cheaper, $499 versus $799. It had a 2-year warranty versus a 1-year warranty, and that most of the other capabilities of the XTRA Muse were comparable to the DJI Osmo. Good quality, good stabilization, great battery, and generally an excellent value is kind of what their takeaways were. So amongst those, I know you've talked about it. If you want to go see Benji blindfolded trying to guess between which one is which, he does. Well, I'm not going to spoil it. Go watch it. But if you want to see him compare the two, we talk a little bit about it there. But just what is the core distinction between these two that might make someone choose the Osmo 3 still over the XTRA Muse? Or should they still get the XTRA Muse?
Oh, I mean, the difference between $799 and $499 is $300. So if you can't afford the real one, then definitely get the cheaper one. The biggest thing that you're going to lose is the DJI mic, which connects directly to the camera. And I feel like the XTRA Muse is a lower quality build. But does that affect you, especially as a beginner? No, it's fine. But if you can afford it, and remember, $799 was the height of its pricing. I think I'm looking right now. It's funny, they don't sell it at they do not sell it at Costco, and they were. Wow. And at one point, I think I told you I bought it for $599. Yeah. Right. So again, Costco that's only prices. $100 difference. I'm getting the Osmo all day. DJI.
Real-time follow-up from Doc Rock and David Foster, who remind me that the DJI original drone was the Phantom. So I had the Phantom all the way back in the day.
More interesting than that is they sell 1 terabyte micro SD cards now.
Oh man, I mean, listen.
1 terabyte, that's $179, which is a lot. But micro SD is so dang small. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I'm just waiting for the day that Benji purchases something live on air while we do this broadcast. Speaking of purchasing things live on air, if you want to join us at Vlogging Academy, where you can learn Benji's new vlogging method, we take you through the method that Benji uses every single time he uploads to his channel, using the method that he used to revive his channel. This is a vlogging method that you can use to get started if you've never vlogged before, if you've never filmed a video before, if you're afraid of the camera. You can learn how to vlog using Benji's 3T method today. You can learn more about it at vloggingacademy.com. And if you have any questions for us, you can email us at hello@vloggingacademy.com. We think that is the best time ever to get started on YouTube. And we think that that vlogging is the easiest way to get started on YouTube. So check it out, vloggingacademy.com. Our thanks to the students of Vlogging Academy who make this show possible. How about some follow-out? This week, for those of you who've been following Benji for a long time, will know that the first time you moved into creator coaching was on Video Influencers. That's correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that was a channel that you did with Sean Cannell. And I think you've talked about this before on the show, but I don't think a lot of people know that the whole point of Video Influencers was to set the stage for your co-written book, YouTube Secrets. Mm-hmm. And might I add, best-selling book, YouTube Secrets.
130,000 copies, I think, right now. I always lose track.
Of course, that was, I think, 2018, if I have the dates correct.
When I launched the channel?
When?
Book was a release in 2018. We wrote the second edition in 2021. If I can convince Sean, I think we should do the third edition ASAP, but it does take a lot of work and it doesn't benefit us a lot on YouTube, which is where our business model is at. So, it's something that we might consider, but I'd still recommend it. The first half is all a classic, barely touched, even since 2018, because we wrote it that way so it would stand the test of time.
And actually, that's exactly what I was going to talk about, which is that 2018, that was the very beginning of the TikTok era, right? And there were certain things that you were teaching at Video Influencers in YouTube Secrets that were at that time. What were the things that you were teaching as a part of YouTube Secrets? Give us the high-level overview.
Well, first half, we call it the 7 C's of YouTube Secrets. Going into it, number 1, courage, because it is not easy to put yourself out there, to fail, to eventually succeed. So you have to be courageous in what you're doing. Number 2, I mean, it's funny. You want me to go through all these? Clarity.
Just quickly.
Yeah, clarity. You want to be clear on what it is that you're creating. I talk about this even in my new vlog method. Third is channel. What is the brand, right? What are you going to be known for? Also, there's some like actual practical things like what's the layout going to be? What are people going to see when they go there? And then content. What kind of content you're going to, that's everything when it comes to YouTube. So we talk about the importance of delivering value. And then next would be community. We talk about how your audience is everything. So you're creating this content for the community and you always have to engage. Engagement's really important. Always be thinking about them. Next C is cash, right? 7 C's, cash, monetize, talk about some of the best opportunities. And then the last one is consistency. Hopefully I hit them all, but consistency is so key. And then the rest of the book, and this is why we had to write a second edition, is very tactical. It's very much about the different functions of YouTube. And it dives into different things. And that's why the second half is almost completely new on the second edition. And one of those things in the new one was we started talking about shorts. And in fact, you know what happened was social media was a whole chapter in the first edition that was basically deleted. I think we even like did something funny, like we made social media go from like 10, 15 pages to literally 1 page. And then it was really replaced by shorts, which was a big thing. And, back then they had stories on YouTube, So
that's crazy.
And so YouTube Secrets is a balance between classical principles of just content creation and being a creator that works no matter what. And we were right. The second half is more tactical, more timely. And that's why it kind of needs to get updated because now the second part of this book, there's definitely, as you're reading things like, oh, I didn't know they have that because they don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that second half of the book is the interesting thing to me. I mean, obviously the first half is timeless. Definitely worth reading for both halves, but the first half should stand the test of time forever. They will apply to literally any era of social media and probably any area of media, honestly, as well. But the second half points to a little bit of a snapshot in time, right? I brought it up that it was at the very beginning of the TikTok era when the first version was released, right? Because there was a lot that was going on there. Like even just the social media versus short form thing is a huge change.
In the first one, I don't think we talked about TikTok at all.
There you go. And that because it would be at the very beginning of when TikTok was being launched, which I think was also 2018.
Musically was happening, and then Musically got bought up by TikTok, I believe. So,
and it's just really interesting to me because really TikTok itself is the evolution of a lot of the things that you guys were sort of beginning to teach as a part of video influencers, right? I mean, the conventional wisdom at the time is optimize, make things snappier, take out some of the personality, cut the fluff. All of those things were some of the general advice, again, of the timely stuff that we were talking about before. And we now have a very different tune at Vlogging Academy, right? That's what we were just advertising, but it is our course about vlogging. And Sean, of course, friend of the show, now runs Think Media, had you on his podcast to talk a little bit about your new vlog method. And so last week, having you on his podcast, you guys talked about the general vlogging landscape. And I have to say, it was received very well. So kudos to you and Sean. In fact, we had at Success Fitness on YouTube say this has to be one of the best episodes. So I was hoping, could you fill us in a little bit about what you guys talked about?
Yeah, so even before that upload, a couple of years ago, when I started teaching the new vlog method, because I noticed a change in the YouTube landscape, TV was becoming more common in terms of a viewing device, longer videos, even longer vlogs. So it changed how I vlogged myself. Come up with a new vlog method, and Sean wanted to dive into why that was, what I'm doing, and how other people can do it. That video, hundreds of thousands of views. So we did a follow-up not too long ago, a couple months ago, and it just came out, like you said, I think last week or whenever. And basically it's an update, because what's nuts is even when I recorded that first one, there's so many new things that came out. Now TV is the number one device people are watching, and now vlogs are getting even longer, right? There was really long vlogs before, but even me, like I actually have an arbitrary number. 30 minutes is about how long a vlog should be. I didn't have that in the first interview. And then we just talk about, you know, different perspectives on topics related to vlogging. And so you learn a lot there, and I give suggestions. And also he brings up some of my vlogs, and we talk through, you know, what's my thinking, what am I doing, and how other people can apply it. And that is like the basic gist of what happened on that Think Media podcast episode.
Yeah, I mean, you talk a lot about, and again, I thought it was a great episode. You should go watch it. We're not going to recount everything here, but it really talks about the landscape and how why vlogging is reemerging, right? And it kind of gives you a sense of like what you might do tactically in the void there that is formed by all these shifting tectonic plates. There was another great comment by Blackwater Outdoor Journeys that says, this hit home. The shift isn't really about vlogging coming back. It's about presence coming back. When viewers can follow decisions instead of performances, they stay. That's the part most people miss when they hear longer works. Appreciate this perspective. Where the map ends, the wild begins. Stay rugged. I thought that was kind of an interesting perspective, that the shifting landscape there is a lot about authenticity, right?
Yeah, and one thing I've never really mentioned, and I'm thinking about this as you're recapping that interview, and I kind of briefly talk about it. Definitely when I'm coaching people, I bring this up. One of the biggest distinctions of the new vlog method and just the new era of vlogging compared to the old way of vlogging is if there's something you geek out on, or something that you nerd out about, or you are obsessed with and talk for hours and hours and hours, that can be turned into a vlog. Versus before, it wasn't as much about the conversation, long format, you know, convo between two people. It was more about the production and the entertainment value. That's what made vlogging interesting. That's how you got Casey Neistat. Ironically, what Casey Neistat did before he was a daily vlogger is more like what the new vlogging era is. And that is just taking a topic and discussing it and then giving it that realistic feel versus like this. This is very produced. We've got nice cameras, we've got lights, and it's not vlog format at all, right? I can't even like try to force this into the new vlog method at all. This is straight up a podcast or whatever. But you can vlogify the topics we're saying and make it super low key, and people would want to watch that. we're tapping into the same value. That's what's another thing that's interesting. I learned a lot of this from watching podcasts. That's
Of course, yeah.
People are willing to watch podcasts on YouTube for 2 to 3 hours. So then you make it into a vlog, then it visually looks a little bit more dynamic. You can both listen to my vlogs, by the way, in the new vlog method, or
Yes.
you can watch the vlogs. Now, the thing is, it's hard to create an hour-long vlog if it's highly produced and you have to edit a lot. But I'm able to do it because of this new vlog method. So that's what I talk about. I have so many different videos. If you guys want to learn more about Vlogging Academy, you can go to vloggingacademy.com. I will take you step by step through the new vlog method to be able to tap into this new era, which I call the TV era of YouTube, where people are watching longer videos. There's a high demand, lack of supply, if you can believe that, on YouTube. And that is the perfect opportunity for you to get started. Both as a seasoned creator that has an audience even on outside of YouTube, like a TikToker that's famous that wants to get into longer form, and a complete beginner. What I love about it is anybody can do it.
Literally.
The only requirement is you have to nerd out about something something you'll talk about. Even if you're not the expert, you just have to love it. New vlog method. You can hit the ground running. I have people getting tens of thousands, 100,000 views right from the get-go with no experience at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because one of the things that we learned last year is just how big the TV is. That's one of the things we talked about, how you brought up the shifting landscape in this Think Media interview. There was one other thing that I think you guys briefly discussed, if not something that we've discussed, which is AI. And there was an interesting comment also in the comment section of that video that says this. And you didn't get a chance to talk about it, so I would love to discuss it here, which is from @Rex Blind, I think is what it is, REXBLEIN on YouTube, says, AI is going to destroy you, run from this advice. And then there was another person who commented in response, this is DJ David Tron, who says, authenticity will always outweigh artificial. The hype will eventually die out. So I'm curious, what is the tension between authenticity and vlogging and AI? Is AI actually going to destroy your channel?
No. So I saw that comment and I was a little bit confused why they have that perspective, because there's two reasons why vlogging is going to win. Number one is more of a technical reason, right? A practical reason. AI is limited to whatever the software or the platform that you create AI allows you. So right now, a lot of these, it's like the max, 1 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of processing. We talk about how I actually think right now Google is my favorite AI, so Gemini. I was thinking one reason they might not activate on Google Home is because you probably have double the usage, which is a cost to them. I believe it's a loss. I think it's a cost to them because they haven't monetized it, and that isn't sustainable, okay? So that's on just asking questions, and the video is the heaviest. They talk about how even NVIDIA, one of their biggest demands is related to video processing for when people want to make images and videos. So there's a limitation to AI right now, and even if they extend it, again, they might be able to extend it to 3, 4, 5 minutes. It just costs a lot. Versus, guess what? I can do an hour-long vlog in an hour, and that didn't cost me anything but my time. Already have the camera. And for YouTube, it's just space on their hard drives at their servers or whatever, okay? So that's number one. So the longer your vlogs are, the more likely you're going to outpace them, because guess what I can do? I can do an hour-long vlog today, and then I can do another one tomorrow. You know, I filmed 3 vlogs in a day before. So if an AI wanted to create even a 10-minute video, if you're not a computer nerd, you don't have any context for this, but it's almost impossible, or it just costs so much at scale. And it doesn't mean it's going to make it perfect. So you have to edit it and do all that kind of stuff. My method, on top of the fact that I can make longer videos, I don't really have to edit that much. So it's this weird case where I can outpace the AI. That's not the case on search. That's not the case on figuring things out. Like literally, I'm planning a road trip right now, and I was trying to do what I would normally do on paper. It would take me a good 20 or 30 minutes. I did it in 2 to 3 minutes. It was way better. Had everything listed out, all the kind of stuff, because I love thinking about mileage and gas prices. You can't compete against it. But long form, I can. The second reason has everything to do with humans. Yes, we watch AI content. I'm on my short form feeds, whether it's Reels or YouTube Shorts, and sometimes I don't even know, or sometimes I do know it's AI, but I still watch it. So yes, it competes with short form all day, every day. When it comes to long form, I know there's some long form videos out there on YouTube, but ultimately, even if I'm okay watching it, there's something inside, right? An instinct to want to connect with a real human.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. If you had the option of a AI person and a human person, who wouldn't choose a human person as long as it delivers the same, if not better value? Well, with long form, because one, there's a cost limitation, but even they can't just pick it up. I remember the fingers being the thing, right? The fingers, they couldn't get right for whatever reason. They've got it right, or it's way better. But sometimes if you create these videos, there's glitches. Like glitches, I remember I did one when I was using one of these AI video generation platforms. I said something and it freaked me out what it created. Like it literally like kind of scared me. I was like, oh my gosh, it was hella disturbing, okay? In real life, that just doesn't happen. It'd have to be like some like ghost video or whatever. And even then, that'd be better though than like just an AI glitching out. We heard this in the early days of ChatGPT. Remember when it was going, it's like gobbledygook, right? Or what is it when you're speaking in tongues in the church world, right? When you're speaking in tongues, like you're the devil or whatever. It was like that coming from a computer very regularly. So the video version is horrible. When I'm vlogging, you got none of that, okay? I'm not even trying to like stroke my own ego or say like I'm this and that. I'm just saying when I go vlog at Costco, and it's funny, I've got David on here who's watched my vlogs. I'm not freaking you out. I'm just like myself.
We hope not.
It's, delivering a certain amount of satisfaction, especially if you're a Costco fan. You just like seeing what other people buy. You're into food or whatever. So for those two reasons, there's no way AI can do it. And I rarely will like make bold statements like this because I know new technologies, I know innovation, I know like there's things I can't even account for that will make it so that it's hard for me to make these bold statements. This right here, I will bet money that AI will not until it does one day. But in the future, this is the other thing too, to that person that left that comment. What's the other option?
That's a very good point.
If their option is like, oh, go to short form or do it, like there is no other option. I think it's just
short form's worse.
It's worse, way worse. In terms of its danger of getting cannibalized or beaten by AI. So longer is the only way to go. And this is the other thing too. Longer, more casual content is even more important because weirdly, it's hard to make it look real. It's, like when you're editing, a good example is CGI. When you do a lot of these AI video tools, it looks CGI'd.
Yeah.
Right?
They have a look.
Even if you put ultra real or lifelike or whatever, it still never like looks like this. Okay. You can do that all day, every single day. If I wanted to right now, I could do a 5-hour live stream. By the way, in addition to vlogging, this is why I think live streaming is the next thing. So the next 3 years, it's all vlogging for me. But if I'm looking beyond that, it's kind of live streaming. Kind of goes back to this earlier conversation. Why are sports so valuable? Not only is it real life with real people, right? But it's also live. It's happening right now, and that's like the last, like what do you call
frontier,
it?
basically.
That's the last frontier.
Yeah.
That AI just will never conquer because if you know it's fake, if you know it's a fake team against another fake team, even if it looks interesting and doing crazy things, that's why like sports both is amazing and sucks when your team loses, right? Yeah. AI always gives you like the win or whatever. Yeah. And there's something, it becomes so old winning. And that's why even us, I can speak as a Seahawks fan forever. We were just losing. We kind of went through that again the last 10 years. And now people are saying it's our year. That's exciting. The fact that it wasn't a win all those other years and now we're going to win. That's what AI can't replicate because it's so random and it's so spontaneous. And this is why that person leaving that comment, I don't know if they had a reason for leaving that. Maybe there's more context to it, but generally speaking, yeah, AI is going to win with short form, with shorter videos, with anything that quickly, can be created by AI, but with longer form content and live streaming, AI just can't keep up right now.
Yeah, the really interesting thing about that is the technical advice that you give is 100% correct, which is that there is a huge technical hurdle for all of these AI video generation platforms to make longer videos, especially longer clips in particular, right? And so, I mean, that alone gives you at least a slight moat. Of course, technology advances. There's going to be probably innovations that come along that will help with those types of things. But for now, I mean, that is a literal wall between your ability to create a 30-minute vlog versus a 60-second vlog, right? The second thing is that, the length of the video is actually really philosophically aligned with it as well, which is exactly what this other commenter was talking about, which is authenticity, right? And so, I mean, you're recording as a vlogger, right? You uploaded a video where you literally didn't edit at all. You just took all the clips in your camera, you put them in the timeline, and then you recorded actually a final clip in Final Cut Pro's camera and uploaded that with no cuts at all. You just exported and uploaded to YouTube. And guess what you got? Super authentic, to the point of like maybe being boring for some people, right?
Yeah.
But
you literally saw me actually go, with the Osmo, it's like on the front of the camera, the on off button or the record and stop record. You could see me go like this.
and that authenticity, the kind of hiccups and mess ups there are some of the things that actually make it more interesting to some degree rather than with AI. But even if AI does start to compete, we're still right now in an era that is dominated by creators. There is still a runway for sure, right? And I have proof because just recently, Zohran Mamdani, mayor of New York, held an event. Did you hear about this?
No.
So here's a quote from the New York Times, which says, or from Michael Gernbaum of the New York Times, who says, an online army of social media influencers and digital content creators played a major role in propelling Mr. Mamdani to his improbable victory in last year's mayoral race, amassing public support for the once obscure state assemblyman, one TikTok, Instagram reel, and Substack post at a time. On Wednesday, Mr. Mamdani returned the favor, inviting dozens of new media figures to City Hall for a tour and a private news conference. Reporters from legacy media outlets like the New York Post and NY1, who aggressively cover the daily workings of municipal government, were prohibited. Mr. Mamdani, whose digital dexterity has been praised as a model for national Democrats, signaled his intention to keep close ties with the city's online content creators, praising them as, quote, trusted voices in communities across every borough in our city, end quote. We need to speak to New Yorkers through every single medium that they see themselves in and see the world around them. And all of you are such critical parts of that, the mayor said. Then he whipped out a phone and snapped what he described as, quote, a very poorly composed selfie with a crowd. Aides to Mr. Mamdani said the 78 attendees had a total online reach of roughly 82 million people. Wanted to bring it up because it really shows you just the degree to which creators are amassing power in the modern era. And I just want to hear what your reactions are to that.
I wonder how many conservative voices were in that crowd. I hope you invited whoever, it doesn't matter to me. I think that it's, maybe it's not that big of a deal that he didn't invite these other legacy media because some people do consume on there. So why wouldn't you, invite them and just make them in a way equals to all the other creators versus just completely leaving them out. I wouldn't have done that, but yeah, he won probably for the same reason that Trump won, weirdly. His utilization of new media, social media, I think any kind of video platform, including TikTok. I don't know what he did on YouTube, but he's also charismatic and good on camera. It's funny. You could argue if he is or not, but Trump, really good on camera, good at answering questions. They're total opposites. You know what's fun? What I thought was interesting is him going to visit Trump in the White House and their camaraderie and chemistry, friendly wise, but not as friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they were kind of similar in the sense like they knew how to work the room, handle the room, and even like they asked Mamdani a controversial question because it's about Trump, which is next to him in his old statement. And Trump's like, oh, you don't have to answer it. And the reason I bring that up is you don't have to be young. You don't have to look a certain way because they look totally different. They're totally different generations. You just have to respect it and understand it and then use it, period. So I wasn't even really following that whole story that you just said, all except for there was 82 million reach.
Yeah.
They're all social media, like influencers, I guess you could say.
Yep.
And then he invited them just to like like say thank you and maybe be like, hey, you guys are important and here's access to me.
Yeah, I mean, they basically got to ask. It was kind of like a press conference, but just for creators, right? And actually, I mean, game recognizes game when you talk about Trump and Mamdani. I think that both of them are 100% camera native, although they come from different media backgrounds. Trump, much more traditional TV. Zohran, much more the TikTok and Twitter kind of era of things. In fact, back in November 5th, Addie Robertson, after Mamdani won, wrote this article, Zohran Mamdani was the right amount of online for The Verge. And she said, Zohran Mamdani owes his win as New York City mayor substantially to his internet presence. Mamdani, as the numerous writers have outlined, is good on social video. He picked a message, stuck to it, and adapted that platform to snappy sound bites across multiple mediums. But Mamdani's best trait as an online communicator wasn't knowing how to use the internet. It was understanding when not to use it. That contrast with Mamdani's campaign is striking. His videos make a point showing him not only in the flesh, but in physical settings beyond the booth of a podcast and frequently outside the streets, on the streets of New York. And so it just, I mean, I only bring this up just to point out, arguably political positions in our country and in any country really are the pinnacle of power to a large degree, right? And so the fact that creators are the ones that are making it into these positions, I don't think is any mistake. In fact, I only expect that to pick up over time personally.
Oh yeah. When it comes to politics, I knew this in 2016 when Trump got elected the first time. I saw the final result, called Sean right away. I was like, he won because of Twitter.
Really?
I said that literally like seconds after the final call was made. And then fast forward how many years? That would have been 8 years. You and I started working together and we were doing some podcasts. And I was saying, as the election was happening, Trump is winning partly because of YouTube, partly because of TikTok, but just online video, but especially longer form content. When he did that 3-hour podcast with Joe Rogan and got 65 million views, you can't deny that it put a dent in the results. But Mamdani, I didn't follow him as closely because it's not my city, right? Like, Trump is going to be my president or wasn't going to be my president. Mamdani is in New York City. We're in Seattle. But I see the playbook now, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a whole different ball game in the midterms this year. And then 2 years from now for the next presidential election, everyone's going to respect it.
Yeah.
In fact, one thing that my wife has noticed, a lot of these mainstream media outlets started podcasts with some of their commentators behind the scenes, not as like out in front, like, somebody that is a podcaster, because they understand they need that long format. They need to get in there and get used to it. But I think that next time it won't be like, oh, let's go through the media circuit. It's going to be, let's go through the podcast circuit. Trump did that.
Yeah.
Right. And Kamala didn't not do it as much. So I feel like that was a missed opportunity. So now that everybody saw that, just like they saw Trump win from social media and Twitter the first time, it's going to be a thing. So Mamdani is just the beginning of this awareness and the usage of it. And that's why I feel like for creators, that's like a huge green light. Totally. It's like a huge, opportunity, meaning you're going to be even more valuable in this case for politics or for policy, especially if you're in New York City. I wonder if those people that he invited, all of them were from New York.
I think that he tried to get most people from New York. Yeah. One of the interesting things too about that, at least from my perspective, is that I think Mamdani's example shows you, because Trump is a little bit different in the sense that he already had an established brand because of mainstream media, right? Like he was on broadcast television. So there's only so many channels that could possibly show up there, right? You had to be greenlit by some studio executive. Mamdani didn't really, right? And so his ability to run past the establishment there shows you the importance of and how social media is going to change who is winning these things, because you less and less have to cater to the establishment and more have to cater to the viewer. And I'm not even saying a voter, to the viewer 100%, right? Because the more and more, like for me, for example, if I'm watching something of Zohran's, right, from across the country, right, and following the race from there, my view is just as valuable as someone's in New York's to some degree, right? Because
because you can comment and engage.
Because I can then, my view, if I'm watching this thing, I can boost the video itself, from the video's perspective, to see if he can get more reach, basically. And of course, his main goal is to reach people in New York, right? But guess what? He probably has a pathway towards the presidency now because of the breadth.
I feel like that's true to a certain degree, but the algorithms are really good about feeding you local stuff, right?
Oh, totally agree with that. I mean, ultimately, right, the algorithm is going to show you what's most relevant. And of course, having something geographically there is the most relevant thing, which would make the most sense.
You know what? I help somebody with their podcast right now, and they talk about policies, which kind of almost flirts with politics, but it's, you know, within their niche. And some of their podcasts are going viral, I would say, for them.
Yeah.
And the comments aren't like connected to their locale, which they're focused on. In terms of
Really?
their audience. Yeah. There's people in other states making comments like, oh, this is exactly what I needed. I needed this perspective, and it doesn't even affect them. So it is true that I never thought about that, the significance that you do need to think about the rest of the country,
Yes.
even if you're focused
Or the
on
rest of the world.
a local state or I guess the rest of the world. My thought was, yeah, you're going to get engagement and comments from those perspectives. Ultimately, for me, if I was giving any politician advice, though, if you're serving a local audience, speak to the local audience, because if they're the ones voting you in, it doesn't matter what everybody else. But if you want to take advantage of the algorithm, seeing lots of engagement, maybe like boosting you out. But what I will say on the flip side, from my own experience, because I helped this person on their podcast, the ability to understand this is for this localized audience and the viewership should be like targeted to here is pretty insane, because when I look at their analytics, guess what? 90% just in this area.
Shows you how good the algorithms have gotten and how the platforms have evolved to the point where a lot of these little changes have accumulated over the past 20 years and now are leading to these crazy upheavals, like creators becoming politicians. Speaking of platform shifts, I got a really interesting notification the other day that I took a screenshot of. And it reminded me of something that we talked about in 2024, actually, when I was starting maybe that was 2020. Yeah, no, it was 2024. When I was starting my tech channel to test out the new vlogging method. And the thing that we had learned was that you could do shorts replies to comments on YouTube. And at the time, I was kind of experimenting. It was very early in my kind of homecoming to YouTube in certain ways. And one of the things that I wanted to experiment with was replying to comments on YouTube using the Shorts feature. Rather than using Shorts feature to produce content itself, I wanted to say, oh, hey, this person sent me a comment. I'm going to just create a piece of content that maybe will get other views, but is primarily designed and targeted to reply to this one particular comment itself. And one of the things that I pitched to you when we were doing that was like, hey, remember all the way back in the day when there were video replies in YouTube? This is kind of like the resurgence of that to some degree. And of course, I haven't really done that a ton since, and there's not a lot of affordances on YouTube. They definitely have not leaned into it. I think that feature is still there. But I got this interesting notification that told me that you could reply with voice now to comments. And so, I don't know, have you seen that feature pop up on your channel as well?
I haven't. Yeah, and so if you're not watching, there's a comment left on our video, and there's a little pop-up that you can now reply with voice. So that's us, the creator who manages their own channel, can reply with voice. I haven't seen that, but I want to use that because it's powerful. The reason this is powerful and goes back to both the shorts that happened recently. Can you not do shorts anymore?
I think you can. It's just hard to get there.
Got it. And then way back in the day, it was a direct video reply, because especially if you got more influence, but even if you don't, when you get a reply directly to you where it takes effort, that's another thing. This is why AI won't win. When they know you had to put an effort into it, it's like a gift. Not in a gift like I'm so good that I'm gifting you my time or whatever. It just means more to the other person. Okay. Yes. So it's smart for engagement. And there is a little kind of a strategy here. Guess what that person does when they see you reply to their comment?
They reply back? What do you mean?
They go back to the video.
They go back to the video, of course. So another view.
Do they watch the video? I don't know, but it's another chance to, and it just creates more engagement. And I'm going to make it even more significant. After they come back to see the video that you replied with, right? What oftentimes do they do, Austin?
They will continue watching?
They'll reply back to
they'll
your
reply
reply,
back.
right?
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. So one of the easiest ways I tell creators to just like boost the algorithm that anybody can do, reply back to every single comment.
Yeah.
Just reply back it no matter what. I have a rule
At the very
too.
least, you double your comments.
By the way, I'm calling out all haters. Even if a hater comments on me, I will reply back. Sometimes I'm being cheeky or whatever. Sometimes, like I'm playing. It doesn't matter, right? I'm just replying back because, man, that's just all engaging for me. Because oftentimes people come back. I don't even know. Like, I don't have my notifications on to even know if someone replies back to me. But because I'm the creator, it's my channel. If you reply back, and then guess what? I often see reply back to mine. More engagement. YouTube loves that. And they're just more connected with their channel. So it's powerful. And, that's what I would say. I'd say this. If you have the time, use it. It's not going to make or break your channel, but it will make a better connection with your community, which is one of the C's in YouTube's secrets, 7 C's of success for YouTube success.
Real-time follow-up from Doc Rock, actually, who says that you can create short replies to comment on anybody's video. That is the move. So talk about video replies. I mean, that is like the pinnacle. You can go to someone else's video, do a short reply to a comment that you find there. Speaking of platform changes, there was a really interesting thing that happened last week when we were holding our second ever Vlogging Academy Challenge. For context here, Vlogging Academy Challenge is the challenge that we run that's designed to give you a taste of everything that we have to offer: coaching, courses, Q&A, and more. And we try and do that over the densest, most transformative 5 days that we possibly can at the lowest price that we possibly can. And it's supposed to feel a little bit like summer camp. And I think that last week, I mean, I don't know if you would agree with this, Benji. I would say the last week was an unabated success.
For sure.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I bring it up because one of the things that we emphasize in both of our course and our challenge is actually posting. We really try and get people posting as soon as possible. Like literally on day one, we push every single student to post, no matter who you are, where you are, what you do, anything. We try and get you posting from day one. And I have to say, I really think that our cohort last week showed out. I was very, very impressed. These people were people who really just got it, like really just understood it from day one. They were posting. And another reason we push students to post is because we watch back as many as we possibly can so we can give them feedback. Now, once this thing gets big enough, we may not be able to do that for everybody, but we do our best to reply because we think that our feedback and getting those little course corrections early can really make a difference in the long term. It's like changing a vector or a small amount early on. But there was this really interesting thing that happened because we had one student who was not from the US who submitted their first vlog and sent us a message during one of our office hours sessions that said, "I recorded a vlog in Spanish. Should I record a new one in English for this challenge so I can get English vlog feedback?" And I replied to them, I was like, don't worry about it yet. Send us the link and we'll take a look at it and see if we can put things together, or we can at least give you feedback on, kind of the way that you're doing it. And I checked out their vlog, and I don't speak Spanish, so I'm not going to read the title. But the translation is, why are we called, it was Chinese bananas, is is the phrase.
By the way,
that
I'm
he
not
used.
laughing because of anything racial. It's just, I understand what that means. And, obviously it's a student of mine.
Yes.
So it was just fun to talk to them about. Yeah.
And so you watched that video, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know. Do you speak Spanish?
No.
Oh, and so then how'd you watch the video?
I just watched it.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that kind of interesting? So did you hear it in English, though?
I did not.
Oh, interesting. I heard it in English. Did
Okay.
you know that? So,
Oh, no, I did hear it in English. Yes.
so tell me more about that.
Oh, I could tell he was speaking Spanish, but it was dubbed.
It was dubbed, and he didn't dub it. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I had a hunch that maybe something was happening like that.
It was the first video I had watched with YouTube's auto dubbing feature, which I think they released last year. This uses AI technology, by the way. It uses LLM technology.
Game changer.
It was totally convincing to me. It even sounded kind of like, because we heard him speak to us in English, it kind of sounded a little bit like his voice. It was convincing in terms of the actual translation itself. It felt very natural.
This is YouTube's function doing this?
This is YouTube's
Do you have
function.
to turn this on?
I think that you can turn it off, but I think it's on by default. It was wildly impressive to me.
Yeah. So that means like all my vlogs at Costco, if you're watching from Russia, I don't know if that's like allowed over there. I know we got some issues going on, but it could be in Russian.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the languages are, but within the subset of languages that are supported, whatever language it is, it will translate it from one to the other.
Why this is important is because years ago, we're talking 5+ years ago, like 2017, 18, 19, And I used to have a Spanish channel for my wife, Judy.
I know.
It's a strategy to tap into new audiences. We used to start new channels to do this. And then they had the function where you could have not only you giving like the translation, the dubbing, but also you could get other people to dub it. It was the weirdest thing. You would get like your viewers to dub your own videos and double check it. Now, and this totally makes sense. The AI and the translation tool does it for you.
Yeah.
And it can make it sound like you. It's going to blow up YouTube in a good way.
Yes.
It'll make it so that you, as a viewer, can watch mine. It's no longer like if you kind of know English and you're just getting by. Now you know exactly. By the way, I think people will learn English better or learn other language better because you can watch in both languages. That's how my mom always says, this is how I learned English, because she's Japanese. She'd watch English shows then watch it in Japanese.
Wow.
Too.
Interesting. Yeah. And so I just thought it was amazing. And, it shows you some of the platform innovations that are going to another subtle thing that will actually change the algorithm as well, because more people will get more reach than they ever have before. If you were only English speaking, or if you're only Chinese speaking before, you could only speak to the audiences that understood those languages. Now, pretty much anybody within this language set can reach anybody else within that language set. And it is potentially multiplicative depending on the kind of content that you're doing. And by the way, you don't have to pay anybody to do it, which is just crazy to think about. There's one other platform thing. This one is back to the algorithm one more time, and actually taps back into the discussion we had at the very beginning of the show about one other thing that happened over the weekend when you, me, and Neutrally hung out to watch the NFL game, which is that Neutrally is like, did you guys hear about this video? So Neutrally, can you tell us a little bit about what you were showing us?
Yeah, so I was actually on Instagram, but WorldStar posted that there was a video that was like years long.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the heck? Did you guys see it? And then I showed you.
Yeah, specifically it was 1,234,567 hours and 30 minutes long. So it's a very long video. By the way, that's 141 years, I think,
Hey,
if I did the math correctly.
Neutrally. I want to see this.
And the title is just a diamond with a question mark. It has no thumbnail.
Whoa, how many hours? 1 million hours?
Yeah, 1 million hours, 141 years. No profile picture. It literally is like the
7 days ago.
worst possible thumbnail, worst possible title, worst possible
That's
profile
actually
picture.
a great thumbnail.
But it has 2.6 million views over 7 days. And here's like an example of the type of comment that is all over there. WTF did YouTube just recommend that? Like, why were they recommending this? I think that first of all, I agree with you secretly, but there is a deep reason why, this is a great thumbnail, title, etc. But also, there's a deep lesson about packaging on YouTube, because all the YouTube experts would say this is a bad title and thumbnail, but
Stands out.
There's something else. So tell me more about what your initial reaction is to this.
Okay, number one, because of the thumbnail, you can just bring it up neutrally on screen here. The thumbnail is good because it stands out, and that's the image you see when you don't have a thumbnail or when you need to upload a thumbnail. So creators will understand that. Anybody that kind of like understands YouTube culture, I guess, could do that. And then also it's just so bad, you're curious. That's the key word here. Secondly, it's got 2.6 million views. So you're curious why people clicked on it and why watch it. Part of the curiosity is like, what's in there?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something crazy in there. Maybe there's something whatever. And then 3, on the thumbnail itself, it says the timestamp. I talk about this a lot, how there's other things that trigger you wanting to watch, completely set aside from the thumbnail or the title. And so that timestamp really sticks out. I mean, even me, I'm shocked to see 1 million as a number for a timestamp. I can't even fathom what it would take to create that video. Like, you'd have to scroll on the timeline of your software just forever, right?
Yeah.
Or like maybe like, I don't know, neutrally, can you set up something like with like software just like to hold the cursor over and you just like wait a few weeks and then bam, you got 1 million. And then the processing of all that. So those are my initial thoughts. And then why, though, would YouTube recommend it? Because I bet you there's a pretty high AVD on it.
There's people clicking on it and there's people watching it, is what you're saying.
They're just letting it play.
Yeah.
And maybe even if you do, think about it, even if you do like, what's the fastest you can go? 5x speed on a video?
I think, 4 or 5x.
But if you do 5x speed for 10 minutes, I don't know what the math is. If it's like, if it's 50 minutes or whatever, that's still 10 minutes AVD, right? And so, and then also if ads are playing, if he's making money off this, kudos to him, okay? By the way, it does give me an idea. I want to talk about it after you tell me more about this video. Or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Doc is pointing to a couple things, which we'll bring up here in a second. The interesting thing about the video to me is 100% about packaging. So if you think about, I think that, is it Patty Galloway that popularized that term? Do you know who popularized that term packaging for YouTube?
I always learn a lot of stuff from Sean in terms of terms,
Yeah.
right? But I think, maybe Patty Galloway. Who knows?
At least I first heard it from Patty. And one of the things that everybody who's a YouTuber expert talks about is the idea of packaging. YouTube, importantly, is not just a swipe and watch game, or not even just a watch game that you could call it on TikTok. It is a click and watch game. So half the battle in any YouTube video is getting somebody to click. So hence, YouTubers, I think the conventional wisdom is half the effort goes to the title and thumbnail because that is what is packaged the video. It's what gets the click, right? And the other half of the effort goes to the video itself, right? That's kind of the thing that I've heard. In fact, we've heard YouTubers talk about, hey, we don't even make a video unless we come up with a good title first. And in fact, you've said that a little bit about your progression with vlogging to some degree, that you want to make sure you have a good title before you do anything first. And so when people talk about packaging, you could watch 100 videos on YouTube, and I guarantee you 99% of them would say, well, what are you doing for your thumbnail and what are you doing for your title? Here are the two things that you should be doing at all times. That's what the video is all about when it comes to packaging. Mm-hmm. But there's a couple of other things when it comes to packaging on YouTube videos that aren't the thumbnail and title. The first one is another one that a creator controls, which is their profile picture, right? To some degree, there's a little bit of interest there. Like if I see MKBHD's face in the profile picture, I'm more likely to click it because I
show me that video again mutually.
Yeah, please pull it up.
Screen.
But then there's a couple of others as well. One of which is exactly what you said, the view count. If something has a million views, I'm going to be like, oh, there must be something interesting. By the way, if it's something that's topical, the date also makes a big difference. 7 days ago, oh, this is really recent. Something weird has happened recently, right? But I think the most important, the most topical of something that we talk about all the time is the length of the video. So people look at that, and by the way, literally the length of the video is what is attracting people to click on this in the first place. It's kind of like the intriguing piece of this video overall. But even when it's not something ridiculous, like 1 million hours of content on YouTube, people are making the decisions based off of whether something's a minute long or 3 minutes long or 30 minutes long or an hour long, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a good point. And then the reason I had mutually bring up the image is because, okay, in addition to the title and the thumbnail, there's another thing that people don't think about, the view count. If the view is really high, you're like wondering why, okay? You can throw this up so I can see mutually what I'm talking about. But there's these other two things that you never think of unless it's really bad. The profile picture.
Yep.
It's just the default, or it's not. I don't even know if the default. And then the name. I just realized it. The name of the channel is a question mark.
Well, I think this is the name of the video. In fact, by the way,
this is the name of the video.
This is a really interesting thing.
Yeah?
They don't show the name of the channel anymore, I don't think, on these things.
Okay. But then the last one being the length of the video, which I always thought is a determining fact. But in this case, it might be the only thing making you really intrigued, but then it's triggering all the other things. So yeah, the packaging of a video, there's games you can play. There's honestly games you can play with this, but wow, in 7 days. I always say, whenever a creator who works really hard to create valuable content, especially if it's more highly produced, but even me, when I do a vlog and I see a video like this, it pisses me off a little bit. Because like, dude, that's like, it's not going to work forever because people are going to do it and it's going to become what thing. You want to hear my idea though? My idea,
please tell me,
is go do a mega vlog. I've been wanting to do a long stream with Neutrally on my cooking channel where I cook pizzas for like 3 hours because that's how long my pizza sessions are, because I use my inside oven, and it could easily be like 2 or 3 hours. I would drink champagne. I actually go and fold the dough. I'm making the toppings, all that good stuff, and set it up like a legit live stream. And I'm curious, just because of the length, I think that's novel, especially for my super fans. I don't know for sure if I have super fans. I know I have people that appreciate what I put out. They would want to watch it, especially if it's dynamic.
Yes.
You know, we're starting to do more stuff with ASMR sound, so better microphones. So if I did this neutrally, I think it makes sense for me to have like a secondary microphone where the food is at, right? Neutrally's way, nodding his head. Because, you can get the sizzle of like if I'm making like mushrooms or something like that. And then, even I've thought about this one, the sound of me cutting the pizza. But point I'm trying to make is that playing on your TV for like 2 or 3 hours would, for some people, would be like the thing they want. And the only reason they don't get to watch that or watch it because no one makes it, because it's a lot of work. This is the first time where it's worth it, because guess what is playing as well? Ads. And I know the longer my videos have gotten, the more AdSense I make with less effort.
I have a question for you, Benji. If people saw that video, Nudgely, can you pull it up one more time? If people saw that video for the first time, when YouTube was first recommending it, and it said 1 minute, would it have 2.6 million views?
No.
Right? It definitely wouldn't.
No.
That's
why I say it's the number one factor.
Yeah, if it was said 30 minutes, would it have that many views?
No.
It's the fact that it is so extreme that is causing people to click it. And what that video proves is that people are deciding to click on, they're first of all seeing the video link. That's the very first thing we have to prove here. They're seeing the video link and they're making decisions on what to click on based off of how long the video is. Now, I'm not telling you to make a 1,000,000-hour long video, but I am telling you that if you are thinking about packaging, one of the things you should be thinking about is how long your video is, because people are making decisions based off of that, which is something you taught me, Benji, but I think everybody forgets about when they talk about packaging, which is that the video itself is equally important when it comes to the packaging, at least when it comes to length. Now, did you want to say something before I kind of get into the sleuthing here?
The what?
The sleuthing. There's a lot. We caused some ruckus in the chat.
Okay. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
I always had this idea. Actually, somebody else gave me an idea, to be fair, but I'll just say it right now. As TVs became like basically just bigger and like windows to the world.
Yeah.
You see it right now. I've always said, and I kind of got this idea from COVID. I was like, I would have loved to be in New York City during COVID when everything was locked down and set up a camera on Times Square when nobody was there and just record it. Just record like footage for stock video, okay? Because it's like apocalypse or zombie town or whatever, okay? A great channel idea is record one like view of something beautiful. It could be like a downtown view. It could be like a scenic mountain view. It could be a waterfall. And that video be like 6 to 8 hours long. Really good audio. And by the way, I got this also from different ideas, is the, I've talked to this with David Foster before, but the microphone getting all the rain sounds.
Yes.
Like there's these high-end microphones that get it. So I like to sleep to rain sounds. And so I was thinking, and this would play into that. Because if you see a long video, why do I say this though? It's for a practical reason.
Yes.
Say you live in like a crappy apartment that has no view.
Yeah.
And you have these new TV frame devices, you could play that, and if it's 8K and it's high quality and the sound is there, it's like you're looking out onto the street.
Yeah, it's a
in
simulation.
Fact, sometimes this channel could be like everything. I would do a video of like a view outside of a skyscraper in New York City, and I'd have the microphone sticking out the window, getting all the sounds of the taxis and the honking, like the boats, maybe, like other sounds. Anyway, so that's a video channel idea that I think is totally worth it. It's so dang easy, and you just have to get the packaging right, and then you just got to do it. And the longer that video is,
Yes,
the more likely. So if it's a 12-hour video, that's better, because think about it. If someone uses it for that function as like a window outside.
Yeah, you don't want it changing every minute. You want 12 hours of
and guess
that one
what
thing.
else you want? You want different seasons. So it gets kind of crazy.
So I'm so sorry. I have to get back to the chat because they're beating me up so much here. So first of all, Doc Rock is like, no, that's the image of the missing video, right? So first of all, a little bit of real-time follow-up. But how long is the actual video? Because it ain't a million. That thumbnail is fake for sure. It's probably like 10 hours.
Oh, the thumbnail's fake?
David Foster says, Doc Rock, yeah, because there's a time limit to uploads. He says, yeah, it's 15 minutes to 5x a 10-minute video. He says that it was Patty. They keep going and going and going. The real answer is that it's like a 12-hour and 34-minute video. So it's nothing crazy, which is like the YouTube limit.
Hey, they played into the psychology. I got tricked for sure.
But actually, they did do something weird still, which is that thumbnail is, the packaging on it is something that they did with the metadata. They did something weird with their video upload. They figured out how to make it display that on the YouTube player, and it's showing that long.
Or they just upload that.
What do you mean? They did upload what?
That thumbnail.
But how would they, Nushli, can you pull it up again? How would they fake the video length?
I don't know.
I don't think that they do. I think that it's a metadata thing.
Okay, that's crazy though. Yeah. That's crazy.
So
I didn't even think about that, because now I'm in this new era where videos are going to be longer, and I got kind of excited. So what's the maximum length of a video?
12 hours and 34 minutes. But I will say that we've broadcasted for 24 hours straight before. So at the very least, if you do it live, you could do something that's longer than 12 hours.
Huge hack. And I'm talking on all platforms, because when you do a live stream on Instagram, that turns into Reels, and it doesn't matter how long it is, or at least it's longer than any 60-second Reels.
Okay.
By the way, I got to get home soon.
Yes, we have to move on from this. Let me quickly bring us over to a couple of things. We're going to finish off with a game show here in a second. But first, I wanted to give you an update on more platforms that are happening. So a lot is changing for platforms that we've talked about. A lot is changing for creators. And Michael Savage for The Guardian wrote this piece the other day that I wanted to highlight on the show, where he says, Reddit overtakes TikTok in UK thanks to algorithms and Gen Z. He says, Reddit, the online discussion platform, has overtaken TikTok as Britain's fourth most visited social media service, as search algorithms and Gen Z have dramatically transformed its prominence. The platform has undergone huge growth over the last 2 years, with an 88% increase in the proportion of UK internet users it reaches. And 3 in 5 Brits online now encounter the site, up from a third in 2023, according to Ofcom. Its popularity is rising fastest with younger internet users. It is now the 6th most visited organization of any kind by UK users aged between 18 and 24, up from 10th a year earlier. More than 3/4 of that cohort now visit. A series of factors are behind its rise. However, a change in Google's search algorithms last year to help prioritize helpful content from discussion forums appears to be the significant driver. A recent deal with Google that allows the company to train its AI model on Reddit's content also appears to have provided a boost. Reddit is the most cited source for Google AI overviews, which is likely to see more people directed to its forums. It has a similar deal with OpenAI, which now owns the most popular AI chatbot, ChatGPT. The company believes it is also benefiting from shifting internet habits as younger users seek out human-generated reviews and opinions on issues, including parenting, skincare, and sports. So what do you think about Reddit overtaking TikTok in the UK?
That's crazy. Is that what they're saying is happening by the numbers?
By the numbers, it has overtaken TikTok as the 4th most visited site.
Is there videos on Reddit, or is this reading?
You know what's funny is Reddit had a product officer a couple years ago that did make a scrolling vertical feed. Now, I don't know if that's what's driving it, because they're claiming here in this research that younger users are saying that they're going to read discussions, but Reddit has now overtaken TikTok in the UK.
I believe it, and it has nothing to do with Reddit or TikTok. Why? Because if Reddit is still a reading platform, so it's text and people leaving comments. You know what I did this morning when I didn't want to wake up my wife, but I wanted to see update on what's happening in Iran with the protests? My favorite geopolitics creator, Peter Zahan, right? I can't listen to it, and I don't like reading the captions. So what I use is the Gemini summary tool. And
Huge
I
deal.
read it.
Yes.
I read it. So he didn't get my view, or he at least didn't get like the AVD. I just read it. And I was thinking, as I'm reading, I was like, it's kind of nice to be able to read this. And I'm only reading what I need because it's summarizing it.
Very efficient.
It felt like it was accurate. I didn't like double check, of course. So that's always a question, like how accurate is this summary? But I'm starting to do that more and more. In that case, it makes sense, right? I do that whenever I have kids too, and they sleep. Sometimes I'm in the room or whatever, like waiting till they fall asleep. So I can see a world where how we say that long form is a contrast to short form. Reading is a contract to video.
Yes.
People just want to read. And then in that moment, I was doing, I was like, I wonder if young kids like know how to read because they're doing so much on Gemini, right? But they do know how to read. It's still a basic kind of requirement in education.
Yes.
And you know what's funny? It doesn't take a lot of time to get good at reading to the point where, guess what? You enjoy reading. My kids love to read. So they're evidence that they will pick reading over video. So it doesn't really surprise me. And also, this is just showing you something that happens all the time and it's happened for the last 20 years. Platforms come and go.
Yes.
And there's new competitors or old ones that compete again. And you just have to kind of roll with the punches and figure out this is why YouTube is so significant that it's kept its position for so long. And even when TikTok was going to start like taking away a lot of their attention, man, they dropped shorts. They're part of the conversation. They're part of the, like the competition.
Yes.
Did I say competition twice? Anyways, but let's play this game. But what were you going to say?
No, I just bring it up because, it's something that's happening in the UK. We don't know if it's worldwide, right? But just something to keep your eye out for because it starting in one country is potentially a sign that it's going to happen in other countries. Let's play the game. Benji, I've replaced your TV with a whiteboard. If you can roll that out to the center of the screen there.
Tell me where you want me to.
Right? Just go ahead and put that in the center and you're going to kind of move in and out, right? These are for our live viewers. Oh, look at neutrally rolling in the rule of thirds right there.
Okay, cool. There we go.
This is related to the news that I just brought up, which is that, there is a lot shifting in the social media space. So Benji, if you can take off that top set of sticky notes off the top, let's take a look at what this chart represents. Go ahead and remove those yellow blank sticky notes on the top.
All these?
Yeah, just go ahead and tear that thing off.
Bam. Okay.
So that is delta time spent, the change in time spent from Q3 2024 to 2025.
Okay.
The numbers on the graph are percentage. So anything to the left of the zero is a change where it dropped.
More.
Anything to the left is dropped.
This is more.
To the right is more. And I've given you a list of platforms, and I want you to match them up in Q3 2024 to 2025 to what their percentage growth was. This is not absolute, but their growth from that last year. I'm going to give you 3 rounds, and each round I'm going to tell you the number that you have correct, and I will tell you one that you have correct or incorrect.
Oh my gosh, from Q3. Well, because you know me, I'm Team YouTube. I'm going to put it as number 1 up here.
Everyone in the chat, play along. Give us your lists. Comment section, play along.
Q3. Oh man, this is sad, but I think this is actually probably gone down right here. X. Just because of politics. That's just the way it is. Okay, this is pretty sick. Look at what Neutrally just did. Okay?
Neutrally is the GOAT.
I know. Facebook, I think, is kind of neutral. Snapchat, I actually think might be here. Oh, you know what's funny about TikTok? I actually think it's actually pretty low. Reddit, because of that story, I'm just going to put it right here. LinkedIn, well, that's an interesting one. I'm going to kind of put it right. And now I'm getting kind of mixed up here. Right here. And then Instagram, maybe the least used.
Doc, to let you know how long I spent on it, I spent the whole half hour of my prep time before the show doing this beforehand. I literally ran to Daiso just to get things beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you the number that you have correct first. Just being clear, at Facebook, can you move it? Is it up there at the second before the break there? Or is it above LinkedIn or below LinkedIn?
Let's, there you go.
Benji, you have 0 correct.
Damn.
So sorry to say.
Wah, wah.
I think that this is going to be pretty difficult. I knew this was going to be a hard one. So I'm actually going to
0.
give you a hint because you have a couple that are near correct. Go ahead and move Facebook down 1. Go ahead and swap Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm not telling you LinkedIn is correct, but Facebook is correct down there,
Down
right
below?
before the break, just
Okay, got
just above 0.
Okay, just above. It went up though, right? I was right on the direction.
Yes,
slightly. And I
slightly
kind of knew for different reasons. Okay.
The other one that is close to correct is X. I'm going to have you move it down 1 to replace TikTok.
That makes sense. Okay, so this is what I would say. Did I get it right?
So first of all, here, go ahead and put a check mark on the ones that you have correct now.
Okay,
Facebook and X, are correct.
Boom. Oh, yeah, let's do this.
Okay. And then I want to remind you that all of the other ones were wrong. So you have 2 more rounds. I'm going to let you kind of shake things up a little bit and try and solidify a couple more options.
Well,
I will say this, Benji. David said in the chat, Facebook is rocking. I'm making between 5 to 8K per month.
I believe it. Oh, shoot. I'm tripping here. Instagram is actually probably pretty high up. Oh, I got this wrong, so I'm going to put this here.
I like the process.
I'm kind of sad. So you said X is correct? Or
X-
TikTok is correct?
X is correct.
Okay.
TikTok was not correct when it was switched beforehand, but you did move its position, so it has a possibility of being
Okay,
correct
now
this time around.
it switched to everything.
Reddit is incorrect.
Okay.
YouTube is incorrect.
Okay.
Insta is incorrect. Snap is incorrect. TikTok is incorrect. And LinkedIn is incorrect. So, guys, you have to give Benji some slack here.
Did I put TikTok down here originally?
Yeah, TikTok and X were originally switched
Okay,
beforehand.
so here.
But let me give you one more break because I said I was going to give you 3 rounds.
there-
Okay, this is your second round. Still no.
Damn.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
This is the last hint I'm going to give
Yes,
you in your
give me-
final round.
Okay, all right.
The 3 platforms that went negative across this period are X, Snapchat, and Reddit. So go ahead and move Snapchat and Reddit over to the left side of the diagram.
I mean, you just basically gave me the answer. It's got to be pretty close, obviously.
And it's crazy because as I said, it was a little bit of a red herring. But go ahead and fill in the right side of the diagram because remember, none of those were correct either. So they all need to move as well.
Dang. Okay. Oh, wait, LinkedIn? Did I put it here?
I think that it was there before. Actually, no, LinkedIn was negative before. But yeah, I'll tell you it's not there.
Okay. I'm going to go a little bit different direction here. Oh, TikTok. I mean, I have no idea. I'm like kind of lost.
Instagram, correct. Give yourself a check mark.
Ding. Okay.
LinkedIn, not correct, but close.
Okay.
LinkedIn actually should be moved down 1, believe it or not.
Okay.
TikTok, incorrect. TikTok is the second biggest growth of all.
Growth.
I know. Kind of amazing, right? YouTube is down there just above Facebook.
Okay.
And Snapchat and Reddit are switched.
This is, I mean, I was totally off.
Go ahead and switch Snapchat and Reddit for me.
Oh, geez. That's funny.
So Snapchat was the biggest loser, unfortunately. But this is the final rankings of the biggest growth and the delta time spent from Q3 2024 to 2025. So keep in mind, this is just a snapshot. Things can be potentially seasonal, although I do think a lot of these platforms have year-round appeal. But amazingly up there are the 2 short-form platforms, Instagram and TikTok. Even more amazingly, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is up there near the very top of the growth charts.
I should have known better because LinkedIn, they are trying to add more creators onto the platform, and they do have a short form offering, and I should have known that. So they're doing a good job. I'm surprised. I'm shocked most by YouTube.
I know. You would
but
think
then
it'd be
remember,
higher.
this is a percentage.
It is a percentage.
So they were already rocking and rolling by 2024. So by percentage, which of course, that's why percentages are really hard.
Yes.
They're really hard because you have to know where is their base, where is the start at. Instagram, I'm surprised by as well. YouTube and Instagram, you know what? Not as much. I'm surprised most by TikTok though. TikTok is the one I'm most surprised because I thought it would be negative.
Oh, I totally agree, because every story that we've been reading lately is that how TikTok has struggled to kind of make the 2025 shift. But more and more, it seems like these short form platforms are monetizing well and capturing attention well. Now, remember,
Also, not surprise X.
hopefully slightly surprised by Reddit after the previous discussion that we had. I threw you a little bit of a red herring.
Was that why you did it?
Yeah, it is why I did it. Sorry to throw you off.
Shocked.
We'll leave that for another time. But I did want to say one other thing. This comes from a story by Stu Wu at the Wall Street Journal that says 3 reasons why we can't get enough of LinkedIn. It was a story about LinkedIn, which is why they had this growth chart here. They mentioned that revenue jumped to $17 billion in 2025 from $7 billion in 2020, and membership doubled to $1.3 billion. Users stick around too. Americans checking LinkedIn more than once a day climbed to 4.7% last year from 3.9% in 2020, according to the research firm GWI. Design plays a part. The site emulated Facebook and TikTok by adding news feeds and videos. However, some new fans argue that the real attraction lies in the features. LinkedIn hasn't changed. In particular, the requirement that users provide their real names. So you're right. They added a short form feed. More people are watching than ever before, but they do provide an interesting distinction, which is that you have to have a real name on LinkedIn, and that provides real stakes, a real performance that you have to have, and that it provides a different feel than some of these other platforms as well. So there's your story there. Number 1, Insta. Number 2, TikTok. And number 3, LinkedIn.
I need to get on Instagram again.
I know we got to get going here, Benji. Any final words before we split?
Well, if you guys are watching, stay tuned. More of this in the future. I've been a creator now for 18 years, which is nuts. And I still love being a creator. And I feel like the best opportunities are ahead of us, but it's not like before. I mean, like this is a good chart to show you, like everything's getting mixed up right now. I really believe longer form and live streams really are where the opportunities are. Short form, you can still make money. You can become a creator, but it's getting more competitive with AI. And of course, I try to help creators specifically on YouTube and vlogging get their start in longer form content. So if you are a creator, definitely subscribe to this. Leave a comment on where you're watching from, what type of content you create, and what was your takeaways, or what do you want us to talk about more in the future. So pumped, and thank you for being with us.
Yeah, just one final piece of real-time follow-up from @RetiredLifeMexico. Hello, Louisa. She says, that's because people are looking for jobs. That's why LinkedIn's so high. Anyway, thank you to the students at Vlogging Academy who are the sole supporters of today's episode. You can learn more about Benji's new way of vlogging at vloggingacademy.com. And thank you so much for listening. We'll go ahead and see you next week.